At 4 a.m., my wife sent a text that read, "Relax, I'll explain everything soon." I stared at the glowing screen in the darkness of the bedroom, my heart racing, not from anger, but from confusion, suspicion, and pure exhaustion. Messages sent at that hour rarely carry good news, and the calm, casual tone she tried to use only made everything feel more unsettling, as though she was trying to shape the story while leaving me trapped in uncertainty. Over the years, I had learned how to read between the lines, noticing the smallest shifts in words, timing, and tone. And something about that message triggered every instinct I had learned to trust, warning me that this wasn't going to be some harmless explanation, but the beginning of a truth that could change everything. For a brief moment, I thought about replying carefully and politely, trying to keep the peace and pull answers out of her gently. But another voice inside me pushed harder, reminding me to protect my own peace, my clarity, and my self-respect instead of surrendering to vague reassurance in the middle of the night. So I replied with one clear final word: no. Sending it seemed small and simple, but behind it carried the weight of every sleepless night spent questioning things, every exhausting argument that went in circles, and every time I had offered trust without receiving the same honesty in return. The silence afterward felt immediate and painfully heavy, stretching across minutes that seemed endless, because she realized that this carefully worded message could no longer pull me into emotional confusion the way it once had. The balance between us had shifted, not through yelling or confrontation, but through a calm and steady refusal to be controlled. Hours later, when she finally came home, tired-eyed and defensive, I didn't explode in anger or accuse her of anything. I stayed calm, grounded, and composed, letting her own words and behavior reveal the truth naturally. And the explanation she promised turned out to be far from minor. It involved decisions she had made behind my back, choices that damaged the trust I had placed in her and weakened the partnership I believed we shared equally. But because I had answered calmly at 4 a.m., I entered that conversation from a place of strength instead of emotion. I asked direct questions, demanded honesty, and refused to get pulled into the emotional storm she seemed prepared for. By sunrise, the truth had become impossible to ignore. Boundaries had been crossed, trust had been broken, and the dynamic that once left me vulnerable to manipulation had finally changed. Not through drama or rage, but through the deliberate decision to stay in control of my own reactions. Over the next few days, I kept thinking about that single word, no, and realized it meant far more than simple refusal. It represented self-respect, emotional protection, and the willingness to stand firm even when love, attachment, and habit tried to convince me otherwise. Sometimes the quietest actions create the most life-changing consequences. Eventually, she admitted her mistakes, showed remorse, and tried to repair what had been damaged, but the lesson remained clear. Timing, calmness, and firm boundaries are far more powerful than emotional manipulation, persuasive explanations, or late-night excuses because they allow the truth to reveal itself naturally, without being buried beneath guilt, chaos, or pressure. Looking back now, I understand that one small decision, refusing to be manipulated in the middle of the night, completely shifted the balance in our relationship. It established a level of honesty and accountability that had been missing for far too long. And it reminded me that protecting your peace sometimes requires saying no with confidence, calmness, and zero hesitation, even when everyone expects you to simply give in. Because sometimes a single word, spoken at the right moment, can change everything, turning confusion into clarity, weakness into strength, and manipulation into accountability.